Guess I'll start off by saying this. I'll ask this. Can Robert the Ghost Guerrero, can he beat Danny Garcia? That's the rumor that Danny Garcia versus Robert Guerrero is in talks for November of this year. That would be 3 fights for Danny Garcia this year. His second fight at 147. Well, actually, 3 fights above the 140-pound limit. He's a full-fledged welterweight, and I'm thinking, judging by his last performance against Aaron Martinez, where if it was over in the UK, the fight would have been stopped, or depending on the referee, the fight would have been stopped because it looked like Robert Guerrero was out on his feet. And there's also a lot of people who felt that maybe the fight should have been stopped. But to each his own. Robert Guerrero won the fight, in my opinion. He didn't look very good, but putting the two styles together, this Robert Guerrero, this CrossFit Robert Guerrero is a pressure fighter, right? You got Danny Garcia, who's undefeated. You can still say world champion because he still got that WBA belt at 140 pounds. You can see you can say that he's a more defined, more accurate power puncher, pressure fighter. But I'm thinking to myself, Danny Garcia sometimes has a tendency to follow fighters around, and I think that if Robert Guerrero would win, it would be because he would be in a perfect fight to fit this Robert Guerrero, as this Robert Guerrero would love to have a flat-footed Danny Garcia, somewhat flat-footed fighter right there in front of him. Where would the fight happen at? We don't know. Will it be in the Barclays Center again? Most likely. Should they bring it to Philly? Danny Garcia needs to fight in Philly sometime soon, because he keeps saying, yeah, it's going to happen. But at this point in time in his career, he needs to fight in Philly. So I'm torn because in a way, I want to say it's a 50-50 fight, but I'm giving the edge to Danny Garcia, and it's not because I'm from Philly. I have to go through this all the time. But Robert Guerrero has a strong chance to win, because these are the type of fights, or this is a fighter in Danny Garcia that's sort of tailor-made for this Robert Guerrero. Now, the one thing I'm concerning myself with is that left hook of Danny Garcia is no joke. Robert Guerrero, we really don't know, even though he beat up blinded Andre Berto, we really don't know about his power really at 147 pounds, really. We really don't know. Robert Guerrero, in my opinion, if this was the Robert Guerrero of old, the Robert Guerrero that was the boxer, mover, the one that had the jab that was a machine, then he would be the favorite, in my opinion, to beat a Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has been known to have trouble with fighters that move or use ring generalship. But it's a good fight. Fans shouldn't be mad, because then you have Danny Garcia in 2015 fighting Lamont Peterson. Say what you want about Paulie Malignaggi. And then Robert Guerrero. Robert Guerrero is a former Floyd Mayweather opponent. Robert Guerrero also has a pretty awesome resume, and I don't see what fans should be mad at. And also, PBC is at a point in time right now where they need to start stepping up the matchups, especially if their guys are going to be active. So, did I say it already? But I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live with RealCombatMedia.com. As news develops, I will be talking more about it. Now, why not Danny Garcia versus a Sean Porter, or why not Danny Garcia versus a Keith Thurman? Word on the curb is Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter, or Keith Thurman versus Amir Khan is next. And the way I look at it, the way I've been watching Heyman's matchmaking, why not? I was like, okay, well, try Robert Guerrero. Keith Thurman beat a Robert Guerrero. Then if a Danny Garcia is able to beat a Robert Guerrero, then he'll be up there. Like, his next fight would have to be against either a Carol Brook or an Amir Khan rematch. By the way, him and Amir Khan is both ranked. Amir Khan is ranked #1 behind Mayweather by the WBC, and then Danny Garcia #3. So after Robert Guerrero, if it is Robert Guerrero and Danny Garcia wins, Danny Garcia's got a career-defining fight ahead of him against a very big name. So whatever you say about Danny Garcia cherry-picking and all kind of stuff like that, Danny Garcia's in a situation where he's like, it's one way in and it's one way out. So right now, since he is a superstar in the Barclays Center, and since he is, a superstar because fans talk about him, whether you like him or hate him, he's in a situation right now where he's got to fight, and the fights are getting they're getting tougher. You know, so like I said, after Robert Guerrero, if it is Robert Guerrero, then he'll likely be facing maybe a Keith Thurman, a Sean Porter, who knows, maybe an Adrian Broner, even though a lot of fans, that may be a little lower tier. Or a, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, or who else? It was another name. It was another, Amir Khan and somebody else. Whatever the case may be, 2016 is going to be a very big year for Danny Garcia. We're going to find out exactly who he is. I am T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live of RioCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.